He was doing the same to the next door neighbour's child. One day I've walked into my uncle's house and who sat there? Him. They battered the out of me. My eyes and my face was. They stripped me stark naked and left me in a field. One of them's got a shooter, the other one's smacked. I've got another geezer, he's got a knife. The heart was still pumping. So where the heart's still pumping, the knife was moving. You know, with every pump. So the knife was going like that in the chest. As soon as that knife goes in you or it goes into somebody else, that is that final place. And then if it don't end there for you, it's ending in jail for you for 20 years. See, I was just watching from the outside. My kids was just on the floor. So, I don't know.
There's 3 families out there that can say that they still have their kid, and that's because of you.
Today I've got Carl Scott here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Carl Scott? Carl Scott. Youth ambassador, inspire kids, working with kids all on the streets. But I try and mix it up through the kids on the streets, but also jumping in with like documentary work and stuff on the TV. And a lot of people call me like a news personality now, so I don't really like it. A lot of people say like celebrity stuff, but yeah, what is celebrity these days? Do you know what I mean? Someone that like knows you, they're walking through the streets and go, oh, there's Carl Scott. Like they rather stare at you and kind of carry on walking and get you paranoid rather than come up and say hello. But yeah, that's me.
Thank you for coming on.
No, that's all right. You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Months in the making.
I want to start off from the beginning of your story. What
Yeah.
was life like for you growing up?
Life like for me growing up? Well, so I moved to Sussex in 2004 from Nottingham, where I'm originally born. Life was difficult for me as a kid. It was like 80s and 90s kids was rather depending on where you was brought up. You was like dragged up, not brought up. So struggled with money. Parents had an explosive relationship. My mum was in a domestic relationship with my dad, so she was beat up quite a few times. You know, my dad was quite abusive for me as a kid as well. He left when I was 2.5, but through there was quite a few deep things that happened as a kid before he left. So, you know, physical for me. But through school, there was a few things that happened to me as a child, so traumatic things. Without going into too much detail, I went through a bit of abuse. My uncle, like family member, which is someone that you're supposed to trust, you know what I mean? You don't expect things to happen. When these things happen, people have said to me on a few occasions, there's like, oh, how did you carry on having a relationship with somebody that abused you? And when abuse happens from somebody that's an older person, you can be groomed in a form of manipulated. So you don't feel that these things that are happening to you are wrong. You believe that they're supposed to be happening. Or you've got a relationship with somebody that's based around love and trust. And if it's a family member, you do love and you trust these people. And that's how it were. So although these things was happening to me, I didn't see any wrong with what was going on. I was too young, and because nobody knew anything that was going on anyway, how can I believe that things wasn't supposed to be happening? Because I'm not telling anybody. So what's happening is between me and him. So it's not between anybody else. So it was a secret. In realism terms, not to kind of mention the words in true form to try and get like a ban on your page, but you know, graped, as to say. And you know, these things happen from PDFs. And that's how he were. And how it came out was because he was doing the same to the next door neighbour's child. So that's how it kind of come about. He's gone, I think he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time. And the boy that he was doing stuff with had a girlfriend, and he was taking this girl round to his house numerous times. And I think what happened, to my understanding, was he got jealous with what he was seeing with this boy and this girl. And the boy was obviously manipulating him as well now. So he's turning things into into a bit of a weird scenario between them both. And I think he had a bit of a smoke and he was drinking. And whilst he'd done that, he took himself to the police station and handed himself in, told them what he was doing, said to the police that he's been having a relationship with this kid. And then that's how it come about. So my mum had taken me, I'd come from school. She asked me to walk her to the bus stop before she went to work. I walked her to the bus stop and she asked me the question, has your uncle done anything to you? I was shocked. I couldn't believe that. I weren't expecting to hear anything like that. It's been a secret for many years. I was 9 when it started, 13 when it stopped. And it was around this time of year. So I struggle with this time of year every year. It's not a good time for me, Christmas or New Year. Christmas Eve was the first time it ever happened. So it ruined my Christmas as a kid. You know what I mean? So I was denied, nah, it never happened. What are you talking about? No one's ever touched me. No. And then I thought about it for a little while. And the next day, I walked her to the bus stop and I said, yeah. And I was kind of sat in a room like this, really, with police, loads of men, which obviously is something's just happened to me from a male. So being around males, it was kind of uncomfortable for me to be in that position. And I was open and honest to a full extent, in detail. I had to go into detail with everything that had happened. Unfortunately for me, my case got dropped, so it didn't go through.
Do you know why it got dropped?
I think, from my understanding, again, when you're nervous and you smile or you have a little bit of a giggle, I think that's why. I think because they I don't know if they thought that I wasn't telling the truth. I don't know. But I think that was why. Because when I'm talking about certain things that had actually happened, I'm now saying things in depth, but I'm feeling really uncomfortable talking about it. I'm not going to say now, because it's too much detail, but use your imaginations. Let's say I'll use the word insert. Yeah, and that's the only kind of way that I'm going to, so when I'm saying stuff like that in detail around insert, I'm now feeling really nervous and anxious, as we was having that discussion earlier. And I am generally anxious. So that anxiety brought a bit of a smile and a giggle to try and try and mask it, yeah. And that happened a couple of times throughout the interview.
How old was you when you went to the interview?
13.
So that was when it ended, they got you to speak about it?
Yeah. And that's when really I was already out on the streets earlier than that anyway. My behaviour was mate, it was mad. I had a really bad behaviour problem. But it was based around trauma, I think, really, more than behaviour. Do you know what I mean? So the trauma that I'd gone through, my behaviour was trying to, it was mirror imaging that kind of thing. So that happened, and then, yeah, nothing further went with that. Like the family, he went to jail. Yeah, I think he got 4 years. He got caught with a lot of cannabis as well because he was homegrown.
Only 4 years?
He got 4 years, yeah. Yeah, 4 years. And then this one, yeah. So I got involved in the streets after that. And I was boxing. I was doing a lot of boxing. I got in a youth club. Actually, do you know what, Anthony? Look, an old friend of mine, this come out on my social media now. And we've done some conversations of catching up with the old days. He's my little you. We used to do a lot together. And there's things that I talk about, and I have to be careful talking about that don't come across as I'm glamorizing. But they're my stories. And even though I've had a bit of a explosive lifestyle, I have had a lot of fun at the same time. But this fun has always been at other people's expense. Which it does, crime and criminal lifestyles. It is at other people's expense. Do you know what I mean? But still, as a child, and the mind and the memory that we have, we're having fun whilst we're doing it. And we had we was talking about a lot of things and how it popped up, and we was doing a youth club. So we had a youth centre that was around us, and they had a boxing club in there. So I used to use this youth club, but in the youth club they had a lot of elders in there, and people around that we wanted to be involved with. Everybody wanted to be with these boys and these girls and do things that they're doing, eat the food that they're eating. We can't afford to eat these foods, named Coca-Colas. We're just eating Panda Pops or drinking Panda Pops, or they're eating your Walker's crisps and we're eating your Lidl's crisps. So we're not eating proper, like they're eating good. So that's what we want to do. To be able to do stuff like that, you have to do what they're doing. And a coach that was in the boxing gym had noticed that behavior was happening. Kind of took me under the wing, really, and put me involved and got me in there. We was doing boxing, Anthony and stuff. Like, he was getting involved with it as well, and we was going about doing our thing. But we was robbing cars, motorbikes, and that's how criminality started. I can't remember if he was with me. My first ever nicking, I was 14. Robbery and a fray, and we beat this kid up, and I really hurt him. But police come to my house about 5 o'clock in the morning. They on my door, come through. My parents didn't have a clue what I was up to at that time, and I got arrested. I'd done for a robbery and a fray, got fined, and I think it was like community service. But this is at the point then, my parents they knew I was up to no good. I was causing absolute chaos in my local town. So that for me was kind of like the end of my childhood, really, and more into like serious stuff. So,
did you go to school growing up?
School? Yeah, school. So when this all came out when I was 13. I was being bullied. Now, even though I could fight, I was scared to fight. And that sounds weird. People will be like, what? What do you mean scared to fight? If you can fight, why are you scared to fight? Why are you getting bullied? What if you're out in the streets and you're hanging around with every Tom, Dick and Harry? Why aren't you fighting? And why are you letting people bully you? Because I was scared and anxious. Now, I'd never used to like punching people in faces. I used to kick them in the shins and run away. So it used to be hitting people in the face used to make me squirm. I didn't like it. Even though in a boxing ring I was doing it because I know you're allowed to, because that's the part of it. And you're sparring. But in the street, I never used to like doing that. I'd squirm and I'd run like a little melt. But this kid was bullying me at school. And he was terrorizing me in front of all my friends. He was embarrassing me in front of girls. And this one day, I exploded. And like literally exploded. I was telling my pal, Cool T, big up M&A, like he's a good pal. I was at an event with him on Saturday and I was telling him, he phoned me yesterday and he said, I've got to tell you, everything you told me yesterday has just been playing on my mind all night. He said, I've not been able to settle. I'm phoning you now. He phoned me yesterday afternoon. Everything just sat with him. And this initial time, I just exploded on this kid at school. I battered him, but it took like 6 teachers to get me off of him, and I've never been like that before. It was out of character. I actually lost friends because of that, because I was known as like the nice kid and polite, didn't really harm a hair on anybody's head, and I just wasn't like that unless I was in a boxing ring. And the teacher, I got expelled from school, and when I got home, my stepdad battered me. When I was very confused as to why, because I always got told, and as kids my age, they used to go for the bigger one, go for the one that's the loudest, the rest of them will leave you alone if you do the main face. And that's what I did, and I bashed him up. And then I got home and I got bashed up. And I'm like, what? Like, I've been told to do that. Why am I getting beat up at myself? It don't make no sense. So I got expelled from school, and they didn't let me back. And then when I did get to go back, I was in a science lesson and I accidentally squirted acid on someone in the science lesson. When you got your Bunsen burners and that.
Yeah.
So in our science in Ellis Guildford, we got the Ellis Guildford crew from the 90s. So we had, like in our science, we had like these wooden things on each side. So we all sit each side of it, and we had like Bunsen burners that go down each. I think there was like 6 per table. And you have these little test tubes. And you got like the water, the sulfate, and whatever else. Mad that back then that like they'd be allowing kids to play with this stuff. But I say play, but it was for lessons. And I was kind of like sat like this, and I was like putting the water. You got them plastic things that you can squirt and suck the water up. Don't know what they're called, but I was like, oh Jesus! And then I was squirting around, and I'd pushed it in, and I'd squeezed it up, and I'm like looking around, doing the little, I'm gonna get. Don't say anything. I've got it, and I've gone sprayed it up this person's back, And obviously at school you're wearing white shirts, so I've got white. They've got a white shirt on. All of a sudden, on the back of the shirt, it started burning, and it was going yellow. It was changing colour, and then there was like doing all this, and I'm thinking, oh no, what the fuck have I done? And it was acid, so it was like the sulfate stuff, burning the skin. So now I'm in banging trouble now because I've literally put acid on someone accidentally. Not like I've done it intentionally. I shouldn't have been a sausage and done it in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Proper class clown. And burnt all their back. Scarred them, everything. It was bad. Really, really bad. And that got me completely thrown out of school.
Did they not tell you first that it was acid?
Yeah, I knew, but there was a few there was a few test tubes. One's water, one's like something else, and one's something else. And I put the thing in the wrong one. So it wasn't the water, because we used to have water fights, or like sometimes with the extinguishers, like spraying each other with fire extinguishers and that, and which kids don't advise you to ever mess with fire extinguishers because they are there to stop fires. But I was playing around with them and spraying everyone in school, powder, fucking, it was everything. But it was a mistake. I didn't mean to do it, and yeah, that was the last time for school for me. I was out from that moment, done.
What did you get up to after you left school?
I was on the streets now. So basically, I was classed as a home cleaner. So my brother and sister are going, they're still at primary school. My mum and stepdad are at work, and I'm at home with 2 dogs. So I'd have a chores list of stuff that I have to do and complete before they get back from work. I never used to, I'll tell you. So what I used to do, I'd go back home from taking the kids to school or to the bus stop, whatever they're doing. I'd go straight back home and I'd be on the sofa and I'd fall asleep till about 1 o'clock. And then I'd get up at 1 o'clock, quickly run around the house, do the hoovering, clean the kitchen, quickly wash up the pots, get the dog hairs off the carpet and stuff with the Henry Hoover. And then basically like it was just a quick rush job. And that's how I used to do it. Then the kids had come back from school. Once they'd got back from school, my parents had finished work. And the minute they finished work, I'm out on road. So we'd be out doing whatever. Nicking car stereos used to be one of the main things in the 90s. They used to do like snatch plates or pop-off stereos. We used to be able to get quite a lot of money for them back in the day. So we'd basically every car wasn't safe with us about. Like we used to have like window poppers, take them off the buses, and we'd get the window poppers off the buses, or spark plugs where we'd smash the spark plug into bits. And one little tiny bit of a spark plug, you throw that hard enough at a window, it'll go and it pops. It just leaves a little hole, but it will shatter the whole window. So what did you just do then? Just smash the window and it all falls in, and you just get the stereo and off you go. So then my next nicking was for being one of the most infamous car stereo thieves around our area at that time. And there was an operation by the police because we was breaking into a lot of cars. So the police started doing an undercover investigation because this one road used to have quite a lot of the cars with a lot of these stereos. That was a road we used to concentrate on quite a lot. Most of the time we was lucky enough to get away from it. But on this one day, we got this car. It was like a Pioneer pop-off stereo, quite top of the range at that time. So you look in the 90s, in them days, that stereo was probably going to cost you about 400 quid. In the 90s, 400 quid's a lot of money. So we'd got that stereo. Just as we've got out the car from doing the stereo, screwdrivers in, push it out, get out to undo the wires and stuff. And some people are stupid and leave the pop-off on. So if they're leaving the pop-off on, some people will take that pop-off off and they'll take it with them and put it in their bag, or at least hide it under the chair, because if we don't see one that's there, we're not going to touch the car. But if you leave it in, the stereo's gone instantly. And the police was undercover. So they chased us up the street. Like they'd all jumped out of cars. Please stop! Like, and I thought, oh, no. So at that moment, then I got caught for robbing car stereo. So it was like theft and going equipped. So that was my next charge that the police got me for.
Did you do time for that one?
No, because I was young. I was still early teens. What was I? 14. Yeah, it was just around still the same age that I'd done the robbery in a fray. So. I was still quite young. So I was in like the youth courts at that time. So you get a fine, community service again or whatever. And obviously your parents pay the fine at that age, didn't they? So because I ain't got no money. But it was at that point, what I didn't know was my mum and my dad was in conversations with a brewery agency to basically go and run a pub up in Sheffield. And what we did was, because I weren't at school, I was living in quite a rough area. I was in Radford at the time. People from Nottingham will know Radford. They'll know how bad the area is. Yeah, so we kind of upped and left. And we took all the stuff. We had all the house. We've moved up to Sheffield. And we run a pub up there called the Radford Social Club or St. Philip's Social Club. Everybody that's in Sheffield Neverthorpe will know that place. It's been burnt down now. I think it's been turned into like student properties, I think now. And I've still got people up Sheffield that I talk to. There was two like infamous brothers up there, the Cohen brothers. They're all, I think they're doing time for murder now or something. But it was all right. I went to school up there, but I found it really difficult up there because they've got a mad accent. Like rude. That's how they talk, and I talk like this. So me going to school up there, I found it really hard, and I whacked up this kid with a newspaper, and he was quite well known, this kid, but he was a year younger than us, and he was terrorising me. And every time I was like, I'm gonna make a phone call, they say phone call, like and they're going, oh, phone call. They was taking the mick out my accent. I was starting to get agitated, and then this little kid, he was like quite a face in the school. Everyone looked after him and stuff. And I was known as the rich boy in the school because I used to come to school with hundreds of pounds because I'd nick money out my mum's drawer where they used to have rolls of cash for the bingo and stuff like that. And there'd be hundreds of pounds. And now I never knew that my mum ever knew that I'd done it. But I'd go to school every day with at least 200 quid every day. And I'd be taking tobacco from the bar area downstairs, like Golden Virginia. I couldn't even roll a fag. Like, I didn't even know how to do it. So I'd be getting people to know how to roll a fag. They're like, yeah. I'm like, right, I can get the backy, you roll the fags. Or I'd go to the shop and they used to sell single cigarettes back then for like 50p. Embassy number ones and that. Like you probably don't even know what they are. But, or like Sovereign and stuff, they was called. Like, so people used to do single fag, so I'd be the one with the money and other people would be able to get the stuff. So in the end, what I'd done was this kid had just done my nutting that much. I had a newspaper, I don't know what newspaper it was, it might have been the Star or something from Sheffield, but I'd folded it up and I just whacked this kid up with a newspaper. And I was going out with this girl called Nicola at the time. I've spoken to her. She's married now. I've spoken to her, come back into contact in the last few weeks. And they have a rule over there in Sheffield that you can't go out or be in a relationship with a year younger than you. You have to stay with your year group. So that was quite difficult because she was a year older than me at school, and we used to go to these after school parties and stuff, and we had a bit of fun. But I wagged it off of school for 6 months. I never went to school for 6 months. My parents used to go to Nottingham, and when they used to go to Nottingham, I'd go back home, let myself in, and I got caught. I got caught for 1 day truanting, which got me captured for the whole 6 months. So then, and the reason why I didn't go back to school is because I whacked this kid up, and everyone was like hunting to kill me. Like, I just thought, I flapped it. I was scared. I didn't want to go back, so I literally just left and just didn't bother going to the school. And then something happened, which I won't go into detail about, but something happened with a video that I had nothing to do with. I was very unaware. People can just use their own initiative of what I'm trying to talk about. But this video had come about from a so-called friend of mine that was mistakenly put in, and I didn't know what was on this video. And I've gone downstairs to get us both a pump Coke out the pump. And as I'd come upstairs, the so-called friend had taken the video, unbeknown to me. And then he started showing this video to a couple of his friends in the flats around the corner. And the bouncer guy, Mark Stufford, who still I'm good pals with now, he's walked into the flat and seen them watching this video. And he went and handed the video back to my parents and said, you need to wrap your kid up and, this video. Just use your imagination of what was on this video. And I've been picked up by my stepdad, which was unusual. he weren't happy, and I didn't know what I'd done wrong, because as a kid I always got blamed for stuff. I'm always in trouble for something, even though I've done nothing wrong. If my brother's done something wrong, I'm the one in trouble for it. So I was thinking, like, what? I don't understand. Like, I don't know what I've done wrong this time. I thought I'd been all right for my behaviour, but obviously not. So I've got into the upstairs where we lived above the pub. He come walking in, he's like, what's this? So he's holding the video. What's this? And me being like Starkey, a video. And he was like, don't be fucking sarky with me. And I'm like, what? What do you want me to say? And as soon as I saw her, I knew exactly what it were. And I literally like swallowed thinking, fuck. I was like, fuck. And I was like, I don't know. Instantly the videos thrown down onto the sofa and just whack, 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 whack. I was getting bashed up. And my mum was blow drying her hair in the kitchen. And I'm fucking whack, 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 getting thrown around the living room. In the end, my mum stopped it, like, stop it. I was getting out. So it turned out that this kid had stole the video that I'd put in a video and shown it around people. So obviously my parents are a bit now embarrassed by that. Which you would be, obviously, hands up, they still had nothing to do with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, so because of that, there was major embarrassment now for around the area. People coming into the pub, they didn't know who knew, who saw it, what. So we, the brewery was putting up the prices and the cost of the pub. They couldn't afford that anymore, so we upped and left, and we went back to Notts and moved away. And then our relationship really broke down from then. Because of that, trust was already broken, even though it had nothing to do with me. Still to this day, it had nothing to fucking do with me. And then from that moment, that's where my life took a turn for the worst. Hugely took a turn for the worst. My parents broke up, and we was in a house. We had 2 dogs. My stepdad was supposed to stay at the house with me, with my brother and my sister. My mum went and stayed with my nan. But when I'd got back home one day, my stepdad and my brother and sister weren't there. Neither was my mum. And I was a bit confused, like, where is everybody? Didn't know. Still stayed there, went to sleep, woke up the next day, still no one was there. Didn't know what was going on. So I've gone to the phone box because we didn't have mobiles then. So I phoned up my granddad's just on the off chance to see if my mum was there. And yeah, she was there, and I was like, where are you? Like, why? No one's at home. She was like, oh yeah, Neil's supposed to be there with Stephen and Kelly. And I'm like, well, no one's here. I've been here on my own all night. She was like, what? So it turned out that my stepdad had took my brother and sister to his mum and dad's. My mum was obviously gone to her mum and dad's, and I've been left on my own with the 2 dogs. So I'm forgotten about, really. And that's how it basically were from that moment. So me thinking, yeah, man, like now I can get all my boys round, all my pals. I was having house parties. I was causing absolute chaos in the house. Fucking fires was being set on fire in the living room, curtains going up in flames. And the next door neighbour come round and he was complaining. He got weighed in outside by a few boys. Like, it was chaos. And then my uncle at the time worked for the council, and he come round with the police, and I got evicted from the house. And then from that moment, I've gone and moved in with my other uncle with the dogs, stayed there for a little while, but then going back to the abuse. The uncle that done what he'd done to me had got out of jail. And one day I've walked into my uncle's house, and who's sat there? Him. And that's the first time I'd seen him since I was 13. So he was sat on the table. Everyone basically forgave him for his stuff. I didn't get it. I was so confused. Like, what the fuck? Like, can anybody never ever do anything for people to be dropping them out? He's been nonsense kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he sat there having fun, blazing. Everyone's having a fucking laugh with tenant supers and what. And I'm thinking, what? So I was fuming. I was really angry. And my cousin, I'd only just built up a relationship again with him because that was his son. We was really close as kids, and we fell out because I gave information about what he'd done, and my cousin he couldn't understand why I said that because he didn't believe me. And still, like, even to this day, I don't know if he believes it because we don't get on anymore. Like, wait a minute, he's a melt. But they related, and we was getting on really well. We was working together. We did this car wash we was working at together. So then I moved out of from him, and I moved into a local authority with like social services, like care basically. I was like 15, and but at this time I was well gang affiliated now. I was quite far and deep in. Knife crime was crazy. Everyone was weaponed up. Like, people was getting hurt. Scraps was happening constantly. People was dying. Like, you know, yeah, death was starting to happen now. And yeah, and then I started to mess around with, like, you know, I was dealing and stuff at that point, and I used the place that I was staying at. There's quite a few people addicted to drugs in there, which I didn't know, and the stuff that I was selling, I didn't even know what that stuff did. I knew the names of them, obviously, H and C. I knew what they were, but I didn't know what it did, why people took it. I didn't understand. So the people that I was doing them for, we had some some Jamaican lot that calmed down, serious people, and we was all like runners and doing things for them, and I thought the friends that I had, we had friends from childhood, my pal Late, we was a firm, like we was. Some people would say, like, members of the public, you'd say like gangs. Like, we don't see it as gangs. We're not like NG8, or we're not like SW1. Like, you know, we don't do it like that. We was just a load of pals that was just out loyal to each other, and never allowed anything for, you know, if someone got hurt or beat up, there was going to be something that was going to come from that, 100%. But you'd get called a gang, which they do say anything more than 3 people is classed as a gang. So we used to try and blag that out. But these people I thought was my friends. I was like £200 in debt from this. I'd lost. There was a bit of a pack that, yeah. And I had a little Panasonic, like, the mobiles was coming in now, right? So I had this like Panasonic. I did a robbery and I robbed the place I was staying. Now I'm like getting close to 16. The place I was staying, rent was having to be paid and stuff. My mum was giving me my own child benefit because I don't live with my mum anymore. So why are you getting my money? So I had the little post office books that they used to have back in the day. So I'd have my own money from my mum. So that money, I was able to do whatever I want. Obviously, rent was having to, like, different bits of rent was having to be paid. So this place that I was staying, it was called Park House. And this place I was staying, they used to have rent paid on a certain time of the week. So when that money came in, boom, the door's gone off. I've taken all the rent. I took the money out. They found out that it was me. Luckily, they didn't get me arrested for it because I literally burgled and took everyone's rent money. But they've already paid their rent, so it don't matter. Do you know what I mean? But I just took the rent money, and I've then got moved to the closed condition place instead now, where there's 24-hour staff and whatever else. And my pals have phoned me, and they was like, because I got a thief their phone, a Panasonic thing that they had. Sometimes I'd walk around the street and just have it lit up so it looks like I've got a phone, and it didn't even work. But we managed to get it working and stuff. And then I got a phone call, Forest Fields. Again, people that's from Nottingham don't know Forest Fields. It's pretty ruthless. We have like a fair there, massive. Call it Goose Fair. Everyone goes to this fair, but this is where it is. It's like bloody, I mean, about 20 football pitches or something. It's massive, like it's the biggest fair in Europe. And they said, yeah, come down. Like we've got places, like we need to go somewhere. I was like, cool. So I've gone down. They're in a car. As I've like leaned to the window to like have a chat, all of a sudden, bang, I've just got gripped up and I've been dashed in the back of the car. So, and these are my mates. So as they've dashed me in the back of the car, they're punching me up, bam, 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 bam. One of them's got a shooter, the other one smashed me on the side of the head. I've got another geezer, he's got a knife. These are my friends, but I know what they will use this stuff because I've seen it. So I pissed my pants, literally. I was freaked. I didn't know what was going on. They drove me to this countryside thing. They battered the shit out of me. My eyes and my face was fucked. They stripped me stark bollock naked and left me in a field. I thought they was going to shoot me, like where I were. Luckily, they didn't, or stab me or anything. I thought that, you know, something like that was going to happen, but they didn't. But they left me there in my birthday suit, and this woman that had been walking her dogs on like a track somewhere, that I didn't even know where I were, and she's come driving past, and I'm stood there like holding onto my things. Well, it weren't even things back then. I don't even know if you could see it, but it was like I was just stood there like that, and she pulled over. She's like, "Oh my God, are you all right?" My face is all pouring with blood, and I'm like, "No, I'm not all right." So she's like, "Oh my God!" She's got out of the car, wrapped like a blanket around me, which I'm fucking buzzing about because I was literally naked, and she's put me in the back of the car, and then took me back to the house where I was staying. And then that's when I went mad after that.
But why do they do that to you? Is that because of the rent money?
Because I owed them £200.
Oh, okay.
So I had a pack that had gone missing in the hostel, and I was using it this time as well. So I got introduced to it by this kiddie called Dean, and he was like, "Oh, have you ever tried this stuff? Have you ever smoked it? You can smoke it in fab roll-ups or anything." I said, "What? No, what is it?" And he said, "Because the people in there was like all gouching and goofing out, sleeping on sofas and that." And I'm thinking, "Why are they doing that?" Then the geezer was like, "Oh, do you not know like they're taking heroin and that?" I was like, "What? Heroin?" I was like, "That's what I got here. I had loads." And he was like, "What? Have you never tried it?" No, I've never tried it. Fuck me. And then, tried it. I was like, what the fuck? This is bad. This is the best I've ever had in my life. And then I was hooked like that. Boom. Got me. So everything that I've told you about my childhood, never thought about it again. That was it. Forgot about the lot. And it just took everything away from me. But when that happened, obviously, something had gone missing out of my room. And then I'd also been smoking a couple of bits when I'd smoked. I was, a couple of bits, and then I owed 200 quid. So it's the principle of the money that was owed. But this is where, when I speak with kids, don't get it twisted with the fact of like you think you've got your friends, because the minute that money's involved, they're not your friends because you owe money. So if I've got a bill, they've got a bill. Now, if they've got a bill to someone that's got a bill, he's also got a bill. So the bill goes up the ladder. Someone owes something to somebody. Do you know what I mean? So that £200 that I owe is owed to Joe Blogs. Joe Blogs owns Joe 2 Blogs. Now Joe 2 Blogs owes Joe 3 Blogs. Do you know what I mean? So somewhere on the line, that's got to be paid. It still didn't get paid because they bashed me up, and I've refused to pay it after that. So I ain't paying it. Like I've taken a beating for it. Like I'm not going to pay it. So that bill never got paid. But then from that moment, I'd swerved down. I was kind of like using, but undercover. No one knew I was smoking H in fags. So yeah, but from then, that gave me more confidence, which made me more loopy, and I was doing more crazy things from that moment, really, yeah.
What did you get up to? No, scratch that. Did you ever speak to them again? Did they ever apologise to you or anything? Your friends?
No. And the thing is, sorry guys, but the thing is, when someone does like something like that to you, you've now got to basically stay within that process of like, well, if they're prepared to do that to you now, like they'll do it again. So now I feel violated to a point of where like I've got to get you back for that. But at that point where I'm like, I've got to get you back for that, who am I going to get them back with? Because all my pals have basically dropped me out because they're all involved with the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Apart from a handful. So my best mate, Leighton, we was tight. No matter what, nothing would ever cross us, ever. We go to the grave with a lot of things. There's mad things, yeah? So he thought it violated. I was violated, and then there was probably about another 10 of us that we again thought like the elders have taken the piss. Like that shouldn't have happened. Do you know what I mean? Like the way that it was done about give me a beating, whatever. Like I've had many beatings. You can take them beatings. It's fine, but I got violated. You left me naked in a fucking field. What the fuck? Like just beat me up. It's easy. Punch, kick, pistol whip, whatever the fuck. It don't matter. Don't leave me naked, like with my little toddler out, with some woman with a dog with a fucking blanket. Like, that's embarrassing. They violated me, really. So we was just then chilling with friends then. But I was doing some mad moves. I was scrapping with everybody. I was taking the streets to the extreme then, really. Weapons, I always had a weapon all the time. Knives was probably one of the main things, really. Knives or koshers. So they was the two weapons of choice, really. And when you look back, you think, wow, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, why? Like the risks that come with that is huge. But we never thought about the risks at the time. You don't think about the risks because we thought we was untouchable. And I thought I was untouchable all the way up until my friend died. And then when there was a kid that was involved, and he was a bookie kid. He moved weird. He was a dodgy lad. I didn't like him. I knew I'm quite quick on picking things up with people, and he was new to the scene. Didn't know about him. I knew he was a dodgy little thief, and he took things from people here and there, and he robbed somebody that he shouldn't have robbed. Because my pal had been seen with him quite a lot, he's been enticed into that whole scenario. I think guilty by association, really. And when we was all sat on the wall, and we was just having a little giggle, was having a smoke, just having fun. We weren't even doing anything bad at that point. And then this car, like really high pitched rev, and you just heard like stop. The car just stopped at traffic lights. You heard the car open, cut the car, and then these boys had run out, jumped out the car. Two of them obviously ran towards us. They had these fucking huge knives, and we've scattered, gone like different ways, and Leighton didn't. He stayed there on the wall, and he basically just froze really. And I think by the look of it, they knew who they was going for. They was going for him, and they've gone for him, and he's just froze. His mouth was open, froze, looked. He was just looking ahead, and they've gone straight to him. One of them got closer to him. The knife, they just like lunged at him with this knife, and they've come in and down. They've gone in, bang, like straight into his chest. As it's gone into his chest, they've gone bang into his chest. His hand come off the knife. He's turned round and then run back to the car. But then my pal is like fell back, like on the back of the wall, but his legs were still over the wall. So it's like, imagine your legs are like that over the wall. So your legs are like that and your back is there. So you're laid back, but your legs are still over the wall. And he was just laid like that. And his hands was like down at the side of him, and he didn't know what he was doing with his hands, and he was like breathing. He's just, his eyes was rolling. We've come running back. I've picked him up. I put him on my legs. I could see how bad it were, but in situations like that, even as a kid, I know not to show shock to the person that's injured, because you show shock, they're gonna get even more anxious, and things could start going worse. Blood's gonna be pumping even quicker. And I was like, "You're all right. You're gonna be all right. Like, get an ambulance." So people running to the payphones, get an ambulance. And I was like, "Oh, you're gonna be all right." And I'm like he's squeezing my hand. He was mixed race. He's literally white. He's like literally gone white. Blood started coming out of his mouth. It was really bad. I could hear, if you've got a chest infection and you can hear that gurgly chest, like that noise. So you've got a chesty cough. That's what he sounded like when he was breathing. And that was obviously a lot of blood built up that was in his chest. He was stabbed in the heart, but we didn't know he was stabbed in the heart at the time. But even now, when I've had the conversations before, I've never really gone into too much detail about it, but because the heart was still pumping. So where the heart's still pumping, the knife was moving, with every pump. So the knife was going like that in the chest. And so the ambulance didn't get there on time. So he died, he passed away. And then they took him away.
How old was you at this age?
Nearly 16. So when that happened, he didn't have no parents. He only had his nan. So it was I think if I remember rightly, his parents was drug addicts. I think. My apologies if I'm wrong. I don't even know if his family members are alive. I've not spoken to him for a fucking long time. It was only his nan anyway. Because his nan used to make some. The food was mad, like mutton and fucking rice, peas. Like most of my pals was like black or mixed race. Like the food is just phenomenal. Like, so if you can go Jamaican shops, go Jamaican shops. Have you ever been to Jamaican shops?
I don't know.
Go into a Jamaican shop and order like food from Jamaican shops, like jerk chicken and stuff like that. It's, oh my God, you'll never taste anything like it. So we used to go around there. Like she'll be cooking the food. She'll be like, "Oh, that's great." She's a little proper like Jamaican nan and that, like, and so I think she's probably died now, because I think she was in her late 60s at that time. Do you know what I mean? I'm 43 now, so bearing in mind that happened nearly when I was 16. That's a long time ago. But yeah, so he died, and then I lost the plot. He passed away in my arms, on my leg. And that at first at first I wasn't bothered. I was bothered, obviously, I lost my mate, but mentally, I wasn't bothered with the effect, if you know what I mean. I didn't feel affected by it. Years later, people are talking about mental health or traumas that they've been through. At that time, even though seeing it is traumatic, but I didn't see it as traumatic at that time. It was something I was used to seeing because I'd seen it a few times, just not so close to home. It weren't for like another kid was shot in the head outside his house. Do you know what I mean? Like, and another kid I'd seen who'd been kidnapped and put in a garage and set on fire and stuff. Like, there's just so many different things, but you just see. I always say to kids, I've seen things that you wouldn't even see in your nightmares, and you wouldn't want to see in your nightmares. You wouldn't even want to see in real life. But that's the type of stuff that I've seen. But because of the lifestyle that I'd led, that was just normal for me. It was just normality. But now when I'm older and I understand my own brain and I understand the way that I think or things I try to avoid, it's because that was traumatic to see that kind of stuff. But you don't have any empathy when you're in that world. You know, if I was having a scrap with somebody and they was crying, it'd make me want to hit them even more. I thrive off people crying. I used to whack them. Stop crying. You get me even more angry. Oh, please stop. Man, what? It wouldn't matter to me. You cry all you like. Some people who cry and people would be like, oh, you've had enough. No, not me. I'd just lose the plot. What? Bang, stop crying, you pussy. Bang. I'd just keep whacking them. Whacking them. You cry all you like. It makes me hit you more. Don't just cry. Just sit there and take it. Because then I'd be bored. Because you're crying and I know it's hurting you, it's making me want to do it even more. I was sick, and that's that. I got worse like that after my friend had died because I just hated the world. I thought.
Sorry to cut you
Go
off.
on.
Did anything happen to the other guy?
He disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah, he's never to be seen again.
That's the guy that robbed him.
Yeah. So Liam, if you're anywhere, scumbag, muggy cunt. Yeah, I don't know where has he gone, disappeared. Never seen. Back then I should have battered you back then. And no one wanted me to do it. Everyone kept saying, nah, he's all right, he's a good lad. Nah, man, my pal's not here now because of him. He's a cunt, mate. And he just disappeared like a pussy that he were. And yeah. So then after that, I was then like, I wanted to scrap with everybody then. And we had this place in St. Anne's. You know, people from all don't know on St. Anne's, and it's like there's a thing called robbing a chase, and it starts from the bottom, and it goes like all the way up, basically through the middle of St. Anne's, and there's little underpasses as you go up. Do you know what I mean? Like every fucking 5 minutes, there's like an underpass, and then the road goes over it, and then you go under, then you go back up again, another underpass, and we used to chill, at the end of the underpass, and then people that'd be walking through, sometimes we'd just look to just punch people up for fun. And we had these couple of kids. Now this is another thing I say to kids: don't think that everybody's going to stick with you when you're getting into a scrap, because some of your pals are going to run away and leave you, especially if you start it and then if things start getting a little bit worse for wear for you and you've made the wrong mistake on the wrong person, your pal's going to run off and leave you while you're getting weighed in. So just be careful who you trust in your friendship networks, because I'm telling you, they're not going to stick around while you're getting beat up. They're going to run off. As soon as they felt one of them, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I want to stay for another one of them, please. They're going to run off and leave you. By that time, you're getting jumped on the floor and your friends have left you. It's happened to me numerous times. But I had this kid, I saw them, and I used to be called Roofy back in the day because I was ruthless and I used to just do mad stuff. And they used to egg me on. Oh, yeah, Roofy, like who's that boy there? And I was like, what? And I'd look and I'd be like, yeah. So as they come towards us, I'd jump off the barrier that was there. And I'd be like, what are you saying? As your kids talk back in the day, like, yo, blood, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't talk like that no more, but it was like, yo, blood. And they'd be like, look, and they'd know instantly. They'd know straight away. You could see the look on their face. They know exactly what's about to happen because you can just tell. And instantly started this kid. Bang! Whacked this kid. His pal saw the bang. And I knew he obviously thought, I ain't taking a bang. Because there was a few of us. He's gone. He's literally gone. Disappeared. Couldn't even see where his feet were standing. He was off. And the boy that he was with, obviously, I was weighing him in. And pulling him around by the neck of his clothes. Pulling him into the underpass. Punching him up in there. And that was that. Just another bully situation. But a couple of weeks later, I used to smoke weed back then, and I needed some, but I needed to go to kind of where he lived, as to say, to get some weed. Use the phone box up there. I've gone and used the phone box, phoned up geezer. He didn't have anything. I've come out of the phone box. I heard someone shout, and I've like looked. It was pretty dark. I couldn't see who was there. And as I've like looked, these 5 lads come walking towards me, and I've like, as you do, you analyse everything. Geezers in the middle of the crowd, who I'd just done at the underpass. So me being me, I just stood there. I was like, yeah, what? Like, come on, let's go for it. Didn't work out very well for me. I tried swinging the arms and stuff and hope for the best, but it didn't work. I got jumped, I got kicked, punched, fucking you name it, everything happened. And then I got stabbed with a carving knife in my thigh, like here in my thigh, which now, because it's winter, I hate it. I walk with a limp in the winter because it's all numb. You can pinch me really hard now and I can't feel it because it's all my nerve endings. I just can't feel it. It just feels numb. I had a carving knife right in the leg, but I didn't know I'd been stabbed at that time. At school, mind you, your girl, I don't know if you, but as boys, you might know, like as boys, we used to go up to each other and go bang in the thigh, in the leg, and then you'd be like, oh, you can't even stand on it. Do you know what I mean? You're just like, oh, you can't. And that's what it felt like. I just felt numb in my leg, like someone had dead legged me in the leg. And this woman shouted, "Oh, you bastards!" And then they've obviously like looked and gone, they've shot it off. As I've looked down, I've seen the knife hanging out the leg, and then all these pains started to come from nowhere because it didn't hurt until I saw it. And then these shocks up and down. My leg was numb, pins and needles in my toes. It was mad. And I remember grabbing all that. I put my hand on the knife and I collapsed. And then I woke up in the hospital. And the surgeon geezer, he said that your hand was on the knife. Obviously, it looked like he was going to pull it out. He said, but if you'd have pulled it out, you were so close to the artery. If you would have pulled it out, you'd have severed the artery. The ambulance didn't get to me apparently for 12, 13 minutes, and you can bleed out within 5. So, and if it was the main artery, I would have bled out. I'd have died. So I was very, very lucky at that point for that. So that was just that one other traumatic thing that had happened, and it weren't too long after my pal had died from a stab wound as well. So, yeah, that made me go nuts from that moment, yeah.
At what point did you decide to turn your life around? And what was it that made you turn your life around as well?
I think, because, I mean, I've done a lot of jail time. Because prison comes with that lifestyle, from intent to supply to I don't know, like, robbing drug dealers or whatever it is. Some drug dealers even tell the police on you. Ironic that, like crazy. I got a 4-year stretch for robbing a drug dealer because we did a right number on him, but I left a thumbprint on windowsill because I got quite greedy. So we were sent there on a job. And we had koshers. This geezer grabbed hold of me, scruff of the neck. Massive, this guy. I've only been a small kid. If you see old pictures of me, even when I was 15, I only looked 10. Like, I was so baby-faced. And, like, that's why no one really thought that I was up to no good, because I just looked like butter wouldn't melt in my mouth. But I was an evil motherfucker. And I got sent to the door, knocked on, standing there thinking nothing of it. Doors open, this geezer. Like, as I'm looking at the door, and then I've looked up like that. I was like, oh my God. And the guy grabbed me. He obviously knew, I don't know how, but he grabbed me and went to pull me in the house. I put my hands like to stop myself from going in. This geezer's about 6'6", 18 stone, big skinhead. And I've shouted my pals, because there's a few others. They've come running around the corner, like whacking him up. His face was damaged to the point of where his eye was practically out of its socket. And I've jumped over him, climbed over him, gone into the house, and all this stuff, like there was money, drugs and whatever else on the table. He had jewellery, rings and stuff on, so we was clearing him out. But this is like when widescreen TV started coming in with like some of them had big backs and that, and DVD players, like, you know. So as I've got to the TV and I've looked at the TV, I thought, yeah, I'm having that and all. So I've gone round, but behind the TV, like OCD bad time, the wires was like spaghetti junction, man. It was mad. So I'm trying to get all the wires out, trying to pull it out, HDMI cables, and it was taking me ages. And this geezer's come walking in, not walking, like crawling in. And I've like looked, and he's getting a bit closer. So I'm still trying to like pull out these wires, but he's got to me and he's got to my legs, and he's trying to like climb up me. So as he's trying to climb up me, I've leant back. And it's not a proper burglary where you'd go all strapped up, gloves and stuff like that, because he's a drug dealer. So I've leant back on the windowsill and I'm like kicking him off me, like getting him off me, but my thumbprint was left on the windowsill. Done what we'd done. Everything was done and dusted from that point until I got arrested for aggravated burglary. So he'd phoned the police and said I've been burgled and whatever else. And I got 4 years, which 4 years, like you put your parole sentence back then, until, because obviously now they did IPP and all this other stuff. And they don't do a certain parole sentences as over certain, but it used to be, I can't remember, anything over 4 years used to be a parole sentence naturally straight away. And then we used to have third strike crimes as well. So if you did the same crime 3 times, if it's a serious crime, you'd get like murdered right off. So yeah, I got 4 years. But at that point, I'd done little like minor sentences in between that. Yeah, that was crazy. So the last time I went to prison was 2013. I got out in 2013. I was intent to supply again. Got back involved with the streets. This time I've had kids. I named my boy Leighton after my best friend. Like, so my eldest, my 18-year-old is named after my best friend. And because we had these discussions as kids, yeah, when we get older, we're going to name our kids after him. I was like, shut up, mate. You ain't going to name him Carl, are you? Like, that's not a name you're going to be carrying on. It's not happening. Like, but Leighton, yeah, because Leighton's quite a catchy name. Do you know what I mean? Depending on how you spell it. So when my firstborn, like Leighton, when he was a boy, instantly I said to my mother and my kids, I was like, Leighton. Because she knew the story, obviously. I was like, Leighton. That's the boy's name. Like, yeah, all right. No, it's a catchy name anyway. I said, but you know why he's Leighton. So like my 18-year-old, like he's named after my friend. So I only got involved in that because the feds. I had a tear up in Hastings, where I live now, and I behaved myself for a little while, and I weren't really having fights and anything. I'd rather walk away from it than rather have it. If it comes to the point where it's like in my face, then yes, let's have it. Like, it don't matter. I got to prove a point. But I'd avoid it more than anything. If you call me a dickhead, yeah, whatever. I'm walking off. It don't matter. I can't be asked. But I've gone out to go to a kebab shop, and I was with a couple of mates. And at that time, I was under the radar selling sniff. And I've gone to the kebab shop, and I'm walking, but I'm texting on my phone, and I'm not paying any attention at that time. And my pals can vouch for me on this. And these boys walked past me, and they both shouldered by each side of my arms, right? And I dropped on my arse, fell on my bum. I was really embarrassed. So I've stood up, and I'm thinking, that's liberty, mate. Like, and I was looking for an apology more than anything. I weren't even going to start scrapping. It was like, I just want an apology. And I've turned around, and I said, what the fuck? And they was like, what? What do you mean? What do you... And they said to me, do you want it? And I'm like, what? So I've like looked around to one of them. One of them works in a hospital as a nurse, so he don't want no drama there. He can lose his job. The other pal who I'm serving up with is a big fucking lump anyway. He'll have it anyway. It don't even matter. But I didn't need it. I'll do it on my own. So one of them came walking towards me. Bang! I've clamped him straight away. He's gone into the fucking kebab shop window. And then the other boy comes towards me. Bang! I've clamped him twice. Bang! Bang! I've done him in the ear. If anyone's ever been punched in the ear, you know it's going to work. And I banged him in the ear, which I burst his eardrum. And he's gone down. Boom! He's collapsed. And then I was like, we've got to get out of here. Because the feds was outside the thing called Brass Monkey. That was outside there at the time, which is only like 3 or 4 places away from the kebab shop. So we spun round, gone back to the flat. Cameras have obviously seen everything that had happened. And then as we've just got back in, with the food and the kebab, open the door, please hey, get up. Got me down on the floor in the bathroom. My face is, I don't know if anyone's pissed on the floor or whatever. I don't know. I'm on the floor. The police have got me on the floor and they've arrested me for what they've just saw in the town. So that arrest had happened and they done me for a battery ×2. But I pled the like self-defense scenario because they come to me. They were starting for me. I said, go and check the cameras and you'll see I weren't the aggressor in that whole scenario. It was them. So that they did see that and they only gave me a caution for a battery ×2. But they now all my depths, everything's come up on their system. Carl Scott is in East Sussex. Like I had a very, very bad reference. My references for my criminality was not good. So the police was thinking, how the fuck did we not know that this guy was in our town? We now need to keep an eye on him. And that's what they did. So every time, anything that I did, the police was up my arse. Every time. If I was driving a car, they pull me over. If I was driving and I've gone into Sainsbury's car park, they'd get 4 traffic cars and they'd get me and try and tell me I've got no insurance when I have. Or they pull up and while I'm in a uniform before I'd even do any bad behavior and I had a job. They'd go into my workplace and ask if I'd tick yes on a criminal record. Do you know what I mean? That's how much grief they'd give me. I've even lost a job because of it. And the time that I did lose the job, I had a boy, I had a newborn baby, like my daughter Lainey. I had a finance car. I was doing really well for myself. I was earning about $2,500 a month in my job. I was doing 70 hours a week, legitimately working, not committing crimes or nothing. And I lost my job because of the police. So now I've lost the job. What am I going to do? I need to make money ASAP. And that's what I did. Got back in dealing again, started making my money. I knew that I knew the consequences. And after about a year, I got done by feds and everyone else on the seafront, where you pick me up from. There, right there is where I got done. And they come and smash my car. Please get out of the car. And they all got me. And I ended up getting a free at Crown Court, intensive supply. And that was the last time I ever went to jail.
What was prison like for you when you went there?
What was it like?
Yeah.
So don't take this as a like a glamorization of anything, right, kids? Because prison is not a very nice place. But piece of piss. I found jail easy. It wasn't hard. I've always known people in prison. It's like you got to imagine, yeah, if you're involved in the streets and you know a lot of people, where are they going to be? The same place you are. You're all getting locked up at some point. And that's how it's always been. Luckily, I'm quite lucky in that sense that like when I have gone to jail, I've known quite a few faces in there. And it's not just like faces that are, the one that the local paper boy. Like I've known people that are being on the streets and they're in their game. Do you know what I mean? So when we go into jail or they're in jail, they're already doing bits on the landings already. So it's quite lucky I fall into that. Yeah, I've got a phone within a day. I've probably got a pack in my cell already, so I'm blazing up that night. It's quite easy. I get that on the day I drop in. It's very unusual if I don't. And I'm not even lying. Like people can reference me if people want. I know you get the trolley comments. Yeah, whatever he says. No, I'm telling you the truth. Like people, and I can get people back that up 100%. But it's like, it's not the fact of like glamorizing. What I can tell you is prison's changing. You've got like young offenders moving up to adult prison now, and they're bringing the young offender mentality to an adult jail. So young offenders is very, very immature. Everyone's got something to prove with each other. They're all fighting with each other. They all wanting to be the top dog of the landing, or wanting to sell the spice or whatever it is they want to be selling on the landings. As soon as they hit 21, they go to adult jail. But they're now taking that mentality to an adult jail. Adult prisoners just want to go in, do their time and go home. Yeah, they want an easy lifestyle. They just want to chill. But they're coming in and they're loud, shouting through the doors, yo, Pan 14. Or they're shouting out the windows, yo, downstairs. Oh, can you get a line? Can you do this? And they're just louding up adult prisons. Do you know what I mean? And it's just making it into a very, very unstable place. Which then what comes with that is a lot of violence, a lot of weapons. People are getting themselves in debt. When they get themselves in debt, they're getting cut, they're getting beat up, they're getting kidnapped. There's just so many things that are happening in the jail scene now. And this is why I say to like kids, like what you're seeing online with your little YouTube videos with the 15 people in a cell, they're laughing, joking, doing a little drill tune and trying to get famous from the jail fucking songs that they're doing on there. That's free time association. you've got 23 hours of the other time of that day to fill, which you're not filling unless you're out and you're working. If you're not, you bang behind your door, driving yourself absolutely insane because you can't get out that door. So you're now locked, you're isolated, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you've got a pad mate, sometimes you haven't. If you haven't got a pad mate, you're then on your own and that door's locked. You can't get out. You'll get out at 12 o'clock. You'll go and get your sandwich, your bit of fruit and your chocolate bar. That's it, what you get for your lunch. And then people will come back from work at about, 4:15, 4 o'clock. When they get back from 4 o'clock at work, they're banged up and then until 5. 5 o'clock then comes and then you go down for your dinner. When you go down for your dinner, you've got like a menu from 1 to 4, whatever you pick. If you don't pick anything, you get slops. It's a bag of shit. It's horrible. But then you go down for your dinner at 5 o'clock. And then from that moment, your door's open. Your door's open till like about 7 o'clock then. And then from 7 o'clock, you're then banged up all the way through until 7 o'clock the next day. So all these little videos where they're like doing like bloody the songs that they're doing on their phones and stuff, that's only for like an hour of association. That's it. You've got 23 hours you're banged up for. So don't think like, yeah, it's all fun and games, because it's not. And then just thinking about, oh yeah, they're doing the rap songs. That's in that cell. 3 cells down, he's probably getting beat up or stabbed in the bum or something. You don't know what's happening. Do you know what I mean? And you have to use your head. You're my next door neighbour in jail today, yeah? We get on really well with each other. We're having a laugh and a joke. You're coming in my cell. You might want to use my phone or whatever it is. You're fine. You've now used my phone, but your missus has just broke up with you. Now you're pissed. And now you get on with me, but you've gone in your cell. Now you're contemplating over that all night. And you're thinking about what your missus is up to outside. You've just been Dear John'd over the phone. Or you've had a letter come through the door, slipped under the door. I'm sorry, Steve, but it's just not working out. Like, I just can't handle you being in prison for the next 3 years. I've been sleeping with your best mate, Steve, and I'm so sorry. Do you know what I'm saying? And now you don't know he's had that letter. Yeah, but now he's reading this letter over and over again. Oh, you fucking serious? You've been shagging my mate Steve? Oh my God. Now he's kicking off. He's thinking, fuck, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to kill him. But then he's coming out of his cell in the morning time and, you're, yeah, morning, Joe. Who the fuck are you talking to? What? Like, are you all right, bruv? Are you fucking talking to me? And then he comes walking up to you. Bang. Well, he was best mates yesterday. But no, you're not, because he's just had a letter through and he's been there John by his missus. He's been shagging his mate. So you don't know what people are going through. They're like, 1 minute they're your friends, next minute they're beating you up. You're having a scrap with someone that you've been sharing a lot of time with. He knows about your he knows whether you're gay, straight, fucking Steve, John, Emily or whatever. Like, he knows everything about you because you spend a lot of time with him. But he's just been there John by his missus. He's gone mad. You don't know what's going on for people. This is why, this is what kids need to understand. It's not all fun and games, man. It's not. Don't believe everything you see. It's a fake, false lifestyle. It's not good. Not good at all.
So when you left prison for the last time,
Yeah.
and you decided that you don't want to get yourself back in there, landed back in there, anything like that, what did you start getting up to?
So I tried to work legally. I did try and change with work, doing things properly, providing for families and stuff. I had kids now. I couldn't run the risk of like constantly. And this is another thing. When you've been involved in something like that and a lifestyle, you're on edge all the time. You're constantly, if you hear a moped pull it or like, or you hear a backfire on a car, you're like fucking, like you're just paranoid all the time. And it's not nice to go through that, or you're paranoid that your door's going to go through, and there's a lot that comes with it. So even though I'd changed and you've got to imagine being involved. I've got kids, so this day and age, it's not like the old days. It's like your dad and no, like it used to be gentleman shit, like no women and children. They're the rules. Women and kids are not involved in anything. If it's just you as the man, like that's it. Take it out and do it as men. The women and children can stay clean out of it. Now, people don't care about women and children. They'll do your kids and your mum, your fucking missus or whatever. They don't care. There's no morals anymore. That's another reason why I don't want to do it anymore. Because why should my kids, I'm single at the moment, but if I've got a missus, why should my missus and kids be brought into something that's got nothing to do with them? It's not fair. It's very unsafe. So I wanted to be an inspiration for my kids, let alone kids that I work with in the community. But I want my kids to be looking up to me for stuff that I'm doing that's good stuff. And they can say, yeah, that's my dad. You know what I mean? Not like my dad's a criminal and he's out scrapping with everyone, and where they see everyone comes up to me. Like my boy now, he says, oh, every time we walk through town, everyone's saying hello to you. And that's because I'm known for my stuff now, but I'm also known for stuff from before. So I've got like double hellos from just random people. Do you know what I mean? And he notices it all the time. If he was sat here, he'd say to you, yeah, everyone says hello to him. Or he's always stopping. He can't walk through town without being stopped about 10 times. Like, that's what it's like for me. But I'm getting stopped now for good reasons, you know? And that's what I want the kids to see. That's why I made a different. It was 216 that I changed, and I decided from 216. It took a lot. It took a lot for me to change the mindset, and how I had to change the mindset was change my circle. And to change the circle, I had to be willing to be lonely. So who you think you've got as your friends, they're actually really associates. That's it. They're not friends. They're just people that you do things with. But better still, some people will go evidence on you and some people won't. You don't know. You can't trust anyone anymore. You know, you're doing a job together, and you make a point of saying, yeah, it's no comment all the way. You know that, yeah, no comment. You're in your interview thinking, like, no comment, but yet my man's in there screaming like a canary. You don't know that, but you're still going to be sticking to the street code, like no comment, but you ended up going to jail. Now my man's still out doing his business, probably trying to with your missus, like, and you're in jail doing a big stretch. So the game isn't what it's set out to be anymore. There's no need to be involved in that. I'd rather be legitimate, because I then know any bit of money that I've earned is legal. And like I said previously, I wanted to be an inspiration for my kids. But if you want to work with other kids and you want to try and mentor and be something for kids to look up to, they've also got parents. Now, people talk, word gets around. Oh, you know that Cole Scott, like, he's violent. Like, I'm not known for that now, but like, so how do you expect any time on earth for any parent to trust you around their kids if you're going out doing straight crazy things like that? No one. I'm not gonna want someone like me working with my kids. Are you mad? So that's why from 2016, what I did was I started to do volunteer work, and I volunteered with a drug and alcohol agency first. And I went in there, I was scrubbing on my hands and knees, toilets, just keeping myself as busy as I could. And after 4.5 months, they offered me a job, and I worked for them as a coordinator of their other service over in Eastbourne. I'd worked for them for a while, and then out of nowhere, a police officer was looking for ex-gang members to work on a restorative program, and that was to engage with kids that kept going missing from home and wasn't telling their parents where they're going and what they're doing. As kids don't anyway, kids are secretive, but it was getting to that point where it was like dangerous. They was getting themselves involved in a lot of danger, and there were so many different things they was getting up to. So I'd go from my job to the police station, sitting in a police station straight after work, telling my life story, to these kids and showing them exactly how dangerous that the life is. More into detail of what I've spoken about today, but then how I try to make them see is the mistakes that they're actually making. But then we'd get parent in, and then parent and child would then have a conversation, and by the end of it, they're hugging each other and they're going about their business. So it was like a restorative thing between parent and kid, but trying to get the kid to see the error of their ways, and it worked. So after that was happening, the Safer Communities team asked me if I wanted to help them with their workshops in schools, which was gang, county line and exploitation workshops. And I was like, yeah, of course I want to help with that, because I never thought I'd be able to work with kids because of my criminal record. I've got a fucking record as long as your arm. And they gave me that opportunity. And now I was in the police domain now. So bearing in mind, they used to come into my domain. Now I'm in theirs. So it was, do you know what? I actually used to sit back and I used to think, fuck, How is people going to look at me being from the person that I were to now I'm in a police station with feds? Is people going to be thinking I'm a grass? Like, am I snitching? And, you know, I got really paranoid because, no, of course I'm not snitching. You're mad. I'll never tell on anyone, ever. And I made a point, and I've never said this. I had a conversation with police, and I said to them, I will come and do this work that I will come and do. Never, ever, ever ask me a question about my life, about crimes I've done, or any crimes that I know anyone else has done. The minute that you ever ask me a question like that, I'm walking away, because I'm not here for that. That's not what I'm coming here for. Don't try and groom me into telling you information about stuff. You want me to help you with the kids, I'll come and help you with the kids. The minute that you're trying to divulge into stuff that you've always been a little bit like, has he ever done that? Or does he know anyone? As soon as you start asking me questions like that, I'm done. I'm walking away. And they respected that. And never, ever, ever once did they ever ask me that question. Never. Because they knew the work that I was doing with the kids, they needed me to do it because it was working. The percentages of crime that was happening in our town dropped massively. And I built up such a rapport with the kids. I had kids screaming like canaries. Oh, did you hear about blah, blah, blah? He stabbed blah, 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 blah. They was telling me so much information because I built up the trust so much with them. Therefore, then I got the crime commissioner. There was a thing for the serious violence strategy that happens, yeah? The Home Office does all this thing, and they build up loads of numbers and percentages of crimes and money and blah, blah, blah. And the crime commissioner funded this project called Reboot, just under £1 million, for work like youth coaches across East and West Sussex to engage with as many kids as you can engage with. And I was luckily enough to get one of the positions of that job through an inspector, Chris Barrell, that I knew is a fucking legend of a geezer. He set this program up, and he followed it from like an Icelandic module. Now you go over to Iceland and look at how their youth work works, and look at what their prison population is for kids, and you'll see it's next to nothing because of the work, how they do their work over there. So he tried to mirror image, and it worked. It did really well. And I initiated a work program for schools that I made mandatory. Me and a kiddie called Paul designed it, and we made it mandatory for every other coach to go into schools and run what we'd set up. And that is still being used to this day, and I don't even work for them anymore. So other people have set up their own programs, and they've taken that to their new positions. So that it was the workshops was mad. It was the engagement that we had from the kids, it worked, and it was really good. I was quite clever, I'm not going to lie. And so once I'd done that, therefore, I then started to appear on the news for work that I was doing with the kids in the community. And I then started to be quite a massive ambassador for knife crime. And I was being highly researched by a lot of production companies for different TV documentary shows. I've been approached by so many massive companies. Some I've actually turned down. There's been quite a lot of huge things that I'd done. I started filming little miniature documentaries on YouTube with families and parents that have had their kids killed, and I've met some really main news people like that have had their stories, high profile cases, and that's where the work officially properly started with the kids and a lot of work that I was doing in the community.
What would you tell the younger generation about knife crime?
What would I tell them?
If you could give them some advice.
So knife crime, I understand why knife crime happens. I get why kids carry them. And they always use the word, it's for protection. But protection, it doesn't protect, because you're 60 to 70% more likely to be stabbed with a knife you're carrying, because you are. If you was to come up to me in my old days with a knife and I didn't have one, and I've chinned you and you've dropped that knife, you're now going to get stabbed yourself. Initially, because you've had the audacity to pull a knife out on me in the first place. So if you was going to use it on me, and now I've just clumped you and you've just dropped it, you're going to get it used on you now anyway. So therefore, that's why I'm saying you're best off not carrying one at all. Because if you do pop up to somebody you've got an issue with and they haven't actually got a knife on them, which not everybody has of a knife on them, you know, it's very, very small percentage. You know, where you see it quite explosive on the TV, like, you know, a lot of people are getting stabbed or there's a lot of murders and stuff. It's still really small, a small minority of people that actually carry the knives. So you're coming into having an altercation with somebody, you'd rather just have a punch up and just have a scrap like normal people would. But if you then start pulling out knives, that's like you're running risks now. You know, mentality, anger then gets involved. People then don't know what they're doing. They've lost control. Like that control's just completely gone. Pick the knife up. They've served someone up, and then afterwards they're like, "Oh my God, what have I just done?" Now you're praying that they ain't dead. Oh my God, I hope they haven't died. Because you look at these people that are stabbing people and they've killed someone. Do you really think they've intended on killing them? No. They haven't intended on killing them at all. That's not their intentions. They're going out, yeah, I'm going to murder this motherfucker. No, they've just dropped them because but they're not intending on actually killing that person. I can guarantee you now, at least 80% of stabbings with people that have actually died, after they've stabbed that person and done a runner, they're now phoning their pals or they're begging them like for this kid not to die. Begging for them not to die. Unfortunately, they do, because there's no safe space to stab somebody. Anywhere that someone can get stabbed, you run a risk of that person dying. Anywhere, there's no safe space to stab. You ask a kid, "Oh, what's the safe place to stab?" "Oh, in their bum." Like, no place is safe to stab. I'm lucky I've survived. Very, very lucky. I know many people that haven't. You know, just from little simple stab wounds in the wrist or something. Died, dead, gone. But you just don't know that. So just don't carry a knife at all. Because I'm telling you, the impact that has on somebody's family is just devastating. I've been around so many parents. If you haven't watched a documentary called TikTok Murder Gone Viral, watch it. I was featured in that a couple of weeks ago on ITV, Series 2, Episode 1. Martin Cossa, watch it. The devastation that family has had from losing their boy Charlie, they will never be the same again, ever. And now you've got to look, his family was scumbags. I was at court. I followed court case with it. I've done a documentary that I was hoping to get commissioned for Channel 4. I filmed the court case. I filmed the guilty plea. I filmed when he got guilty. Martin cried his fucking eyes out. Grown man. And then when the kid got sentenced to 16 years, the family was taking photographs outside the court trying to antagonize the family that their kids just killed. Yeah, you know, there's some sick people out there, but they've still stayed professional. They've stayed and they've kept their respect as a family, as the family that they are. Their family, his family, shown complete disregard, no interest whatsoever. But not all families are like that. If my kid went out and stabbed somebody, I'd be fucking mortified. I would beat him myself. Do you know what I mean? So for me, as a family that's innocent in this whole scenario, that's my kid's gone out and stabbed somebody and killed them, I'm going to be supportive of that family that's just had their kid killed. 100% I will, because I ain't stabbed your kid. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to do with me. So you've got to imagine 2 families now have been devastated by one person's actions. Now I've lost my kid because he's now gone to jail. They've lost his kid because his kid's dead. So 2 families are at a loss, but in 2 different losses. One loss is in jail for like 15, 20 years. Another loss is never coming back. But we've still been damaged by a knife crime issue. And you can imagine as well with Martin, his grandkid, his daughter-in-law, they was just about to announce that they was having a baby when Charlie got stabbed. So now that baby is now a victim to knife crime and he won't even fucking hear yet. Do you know what I mean? So the ripple effect of issues that knife crime actually causes is huge. But people don't understand that. My thing is that knife crime, you see the knife crime and you see the story, yeah? You see the people crying on the news. You see people on social media talking about knife crime. The media, Good Morning Britain, which I've been on, I can get into that. But like, you know, they're following the story at that moment in time when that killing's just happened. The minute that they're not in the paper no more, that family still have to live with what's just happened. So they're chip shop paper, news, thrown away. But they're now still living with that. So my documentary was to cover that after. So what the press don't cover, the how a family have to cope and what their everyday life is now like since the passing of their child from knife crime. Because what you're seeing is there's so many families that are out there now at the moment that are pushing their grief and putting that to the side to go out and educate other kids on how that effect has had and what the impacts had on their life. Where they should be grieving at home, but they're not, because the government and other people aren't funding relevant programs or relevant people that's got lived experience that can go out and educate these kids on how dangerous life on the streets actually is. These parents are going out doing it for themselves. They shouldn't be going out doing it for themselves. Why should they have to get off their sofa from crying their eyes out for every night and they can't sleep or having nightmares because of the murder of their kid, to now go out and educate other people's kids when they haven't got their kid no more? They shouldn't be doing that. And this is my argument all the time. They should be out grieving, because one day they are going to grieve and it's going to hit them like a fucking ton of bricks. But they've pushed it away for so long because they've been going out. Now, Martin, I take my hat off. 60,000 people he's educated in a year. 60,000 fucking people. That is... You just can't ever imagine something, and the pain that he's gone through, that pain has made him and helped him along that way of educating 60,000 people. He's a force of nature, Martin and Tara and his whole family. So if you can, watch TikTok Murder Gone Viral, Martin Cossar, Charlie Cossar. Watch that documentary. I'm telling you, you'll fucking cry your eyes out. I've seen him cry from the first moment that he went into the school with me, when he made the promise to Charlie. His charity, by the way, is Charlie's Promise. Charlie's Promise charity. Check them out. He made a promise to Charlie before he turned the machines off that he was going to go out and educate kids. He'd already decided that before the machines went off. And I saw him. He was on the back of a news interview with me on BBC. I never met him. And I saw that he made a promise, but I was in a school in October running a workshop for a youth project that I owned, but I've shut down now, but because I had a bit of a breakdown. But I gave him an option. I was like, mate, I'm in a school. Do you want to come and make this your first promise in a school? Come and tell them the story. And he was like, yep, I'm coming. Sweet. I filmed it, clipped it, banged it on TikTok, nearly 1 million views for the TikTok video. Hence, TikTok Murder Gone Viral. So most of the stuff that he now does, he talks to his phone and he posts it on TikTok. And the engagement that he's had on TikTok since doing that, from the first day he's come into the school with me, phenomenal. He flew past me with followers. Flew past me. I was so happy for him, because he was able to do what he promised just by social media. It's huge. Now you try and book him. You can't book him for a year. He's fully booked every day. He's here, there, and everywhere. So that's the education sides of it. What I will tell kids: if you can watch something like a family like Martin's, like a family like a lady I know, Julie Taylor, whose grandson Fish passed away, Kelly Brown, a lady that I know from Manchester, Romero West, he passed away. If you can see these families that have lost their loved ones, and you can see what they've gone through, but you can actually see what they're now doing to try and make it so other people don't have to, that's what kids need to look at, to change their mind, is to be like, oh my God, is that what that would cause if I stab somebody? The pain. It's real pain. It's real pain. Can you imagine? I was in a graveyard the other day and I did a video on social media, and I kind of put it across like, this is the final place where you're ever going to be. It's silent, peaceful, birds are tweeting, but you're there on a grave with hundreds of others. No one stood there. I'm not seeing people kneeling down at these graves, crying, wishing that you were still here. There's no one fucking there. No one's coming to your grave. If they do, they're coming on your birthday, which is every year. So you're there for fucking 12 months on your own. Or unless it's Christmas Day and someone wants to bring you a Christmas card. But do you think they're going to drive to a graveyard just to drop you a Christmas card on your grave? Fuck no. They're going to probably remember you in their living room. So you're in a grave on your Jack Jones. They're just boning away. That's it. That's the end of the game for you. So you have to think about that before you make these decisions, because it's fucking real. It's a real life. As soon as that knife goes in you or it goes into somebody else, that is that final place. And then if it don't end there for you, it's ending in jail for you for 20 years. That's your life gone anyway. By the time you get out of prison, all your pals have got babies, married and everything. You're getting out still like with the man, like, oh yeah, bruv, I've been in jail for time. They're like, shut up, bruv, sort yourself out. We've got fucking kids and we're married. You're on your own, bro. They're not doing the same no more. And these people ain't even visited you in jail. The people that you're doing all this mad behaviour for, they're thinking you're a knob, mate. You're a sausage. You've just gone out and done this stuff that you've done. Now you're doing time behind the door and you're Jack Jones. They forgot about you 2 weeks after you went in. They don't care. So that's the message for me. Like, just think about it before you do it, because it's not big and it's not clever.
Said.
Mic drop, brother.
So we've just spoke about knife crime. Leading on with that, do you want to talk a bit about these bleed kits that you put around London?
So, so bleed kits. As I mentioned earlier, I said about Ramiro West. I met Kelly Brown. I was filming a little YouTube thing with her, and I filmed her family. A video that I just showed you. I said, knife crime affects many people's lives. We stopped traffic in Manchester. We went up to Manchester, and I filmed her. She told me about bleed control kits, and I'd never heard of them before. I was like, what are they? So she explained to me. She said, they're kits. They get put in cabinets, and they you can use them. Call 999. They give you a code. You open the bag, open the box. The bag's inside. They've got things inside them that can stem a bleed until the ambulance service comes. And I was like, what the fuck? How do I not know about these? Because I've been doing knife crime work for about 3 or 4 years at that point. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, Jesus. So I phoned an old pal of mine. I said, have you heard of these? And he said, what? We need to get on this quick time. I said, yes. So I was modelling for a clothing company at the time. They funded me for a cabinet, my first ever cabinet. This is where I went viral. This is where I became celebrity. Like, I don't like it, but a public figure, yeah? So I got this cabinet, and I was the first to initiate this in Sussex. They'd never seen anything like it. It went mental. So I got this first bleed kit. I put it up with the biggest shopping centre we have around our area. They allowed us to put it up. I had the Times there. I had GB News there. I had ITV Meridian, BBC South East, Good Morning Britain. Everybody was there. This girl, Megan, bless you, Megan. I love Megan. She's been supportive of me. She works for ITV. She's been a massive Megan Samwise. She's supported me from day dot. She was waiting for months for me to get this cabinet up. So we got the cabinet. Oh, and Piers Hopkins as well from BBC. He's been a big support for me as well. So I got this cabinet up, and then what happened were a geezer that I don't talk to no more. Don't get me wrong, he's good at what he does, but I don't talk to him anymore. I'll get to that point when I get to my next section. But he said, oh my God, how did you manage to get the kit up? I said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Luckily, I had a friend, my mate Mel. She's worked for Priory Meadow. She knew the manager of Priory Meadow. I'd already contacted them. They weren't really that interested until Mel said, do it. He's proper in the community, like he's quite infamous. They went for it straight away. So he said to me, oh my God, have you thought about bleed training? I said, nah, tell me more. He said, why don't we train people in members of the community how to stem a bleed? Because I was getting asked loads of questions of how the bleed kits work. Do you have to be like a first aider to use them, or do you have to be an ambulance service? No, anybody can use them. You don't. If you do it wrong, there's something wrong with you. Do you know what I mean? It's so easy to use. So I put out a post, and I said I'm looking for 15 people to come and do a free training session with me. Good Morning Britain are going to be filming it, and so are the Times. So be in mind, there's going to be cameras in the room at the time. Do you want to come and do a free training course of how to stop a bleed? I filled that spot within an hour. Bang. Everyone was like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. They all got certificates and everything. I had kids there, adults there. I had people that had lost their friends to knife crime there. Kyle, there was people there, right? So I'm there. We're there. First time me and this geezer's met, this bleed training thing. We kind of worked well together. So I said to him afterwards, I said, you know what? Let's go and do this properly. Let's go and train as many people as we can. I want to add this into my school workshops, because I had a six-week school workshop program that I was running with schools across the country. And so because schools don't like doing stuff on knife crime. They hate it. They avoid it. I don't know why, but they do. I feel, as well as Martin feels, you'll hear him say all the time, he feels that the curriculum should be changed, and bits to do around things in the community, such as knife crime, should be run as an educational thing. It should be mandatory. So kids should be knowing about this stuff from at least year 6 in primary school. Do you know what I mean? So I added it to my workshop. Martin was my guest speaker for every talk that I did on knife crime, and session 6 was bleed control training. So kids was getting trained no matter what. You couldn't get out of it because it's part of my program. So therefore, I initiated it into schools. So schools was now doing the training. From the schools doing the training, I then started training probation. I was training police officers. From police officers, I was training social services. I was training everybody. I was going up to Warsaw in Birmingham, training council officers. It was mad. It went mental. So then Good Morning Britain was like, we need you on the show. Can you come in? Can you come and do the show? You'll have the longest part of the day. You'll have 10 minutes. I was like, what? 10 minutes is the longest you will have on live TV for a news program anyway. So I said, yeah, sweet. So I got up there the first day. Susanna Reid and Richard Madeley, they were supposed to be interviewing me, but Dan Boris Johnson, something come up on that day. So they cancelled me for that day and put me on the next day. And then I had Kate Garraway and Martin Lewis. So I sat on the stage. I had a Bleak Kit with me with Dr. Hillary, legend geezer. I love him. He's such a legend. And I was on live TV, made every newspaper in the country because Martin Lewis unbuttoned his shirt live on TV for me to put a chest seal on. Because I had to go into detail about what these Bleak Kits do and how they save your life, you know, what the stuff inside them, tourniquets, chest seals, gauzes, etc., etc. And then, unbeknown to me, the Sun, the Mirror, the Daily Mail, Birmingham News, Manchester News, like everything, the front pages of the newspapers, Martin Lewis, Good Sport, unbuttoned shirt on live TV, click to read the full story. There's a good reason as to why. Cole Scott, ex-gang member, victim of knife crime, lost his best friend, was live on Good Morning Britain. He was talking about Bleak Kits, blah, blah, blah. It went viral. Everything just went mental. My phone was going mad. I had people phoning me left, right, and centre. Every newspaper wanted me. Every time someone's been stabbed, BBC would phone me, ITV would phone me. Like I was at the radio stations, Heart FM, Hits Radio. Everyone was on my case. But then from that moment, I then managed to flood Sussex. I partnered up with the police. I partnered up with the council. I had schools paying for stuff. I had this person. I had loads of people wanting Bleak Kits. Everyone. But then I got involved with London. And I had a dream that I wanted to put up a Bleak Kit at Westminster because obviously we have terrorism and we have a lot of terrorism that happens. And Westminster's and London Bridge and Westminster Bridge and all them places is where, and the markets, you know, Borough Market, Spitalfield Market, like these places have terrorism happen all the time. So I got in with a guy called PJ who was head of security at St. Paul's Cathedral, Paternoster Square. We had to go through so many fucking hoops to get Bleak Kits in London as a company. Like it's called Corporation of London. They are the wigs that give agreements for anything to happen in the city of London. Anyone. I had the go ahead for them pods. I appreciate all their support that they gave me. You cannot do anything without their say so in London. They're basically next under government, like they're proper. And they was like, because of, you got to imagine, yeah, Paternoster, like St. Paul's Cathedral, the walls are protected. It's all protected stuff. Like the masonry is like, you don't drill into that masonry unless you've got a real need to drill into it. And I got the yes. So I hit up I did Paternoster Square. From Paternoster Square, I then had London Bridge contact me. So London Bridge wanted it, but this time I initiated backpacks. So no one was doing this in the Bleak Kit world. And don't get me wrong, the Bleak Kit world is toxic and you all need to fix up and stop arguing with each other and telling people who can go and put up a Bleak Kit where you're in my area, rah. We're like adults with gang mentality heads. We're trying to stop kids from acting like a gang mentality, and you're all acting gang mentality when it comes to putting up Bleak Kits. It's pathetic and it's immature. Grow up. We're all trying to save people's lives. It doesn't matter who's putting a Bleak Kit where, as long as that kit gets used and saves somebody, it doesn't fucking matter. So just drop it out. That's what I'm going to say on that anyway. But it's toxic. The knife crime world is toxic. You wouldn't believe it, but it is. Everybody argues about each other. Everyone, there's just backstabbers. And there's trolls about so many different things. So because of that reason, I stepped away from one of the most leading kit companies in the country that designed them. I walked away. I couldn't be bothered with the trolls anymore. So I thought I'd design my own. And that's what I did. I put more money into it, made better kits with better lasting stuff. Like the stuff that was inside it, there was a Bleak Kit, a gauze that clotted in 3 minutes. I thought, no, I want better than that. And I found one that clotted in 60 seconds. Gone, you're in my kit. I made Gucci kits of kits. Like, that's how it worked for me. I wanted to do one better. But from the single kit, we then made a multi-person's injury kit instead. No one was doing that, not one person. So we now made sure that these rucksacks can fit in a box in the cabinet. They did. So now we initiated that in London. London Bridge was the first people to buy multi-injury bags. So they have more than one item in a bag. So if there is a terrorism incident or there is a gang fight where there's more injuries than one, they can open up the cabinet and the bag's there and they've got, you can cover at least 5 people in there. Do you know what I mean? So Therefore, the London Bridge jumped on it. What happened was I had a phone call. There was a stabbing in Hailsham, and my kit got used in Hailsham for this young boy. Unfortunately, he was stabbed in the heart, so the kit didn't work. And I'm not going to say they work for everyone because they don't, but they can. It depends where you're stabbed. He was stabbed in the heart. No one's going to survive that. No one. So the kit didn't work, unfortunately. But the same day that that happened, where my phone was going mad, London Bridge phoned me. The cabinets had been used three times in London Bridge. And one of the incidents, he got a chest wound. Now, the ambulance, when they turned up, they said, if your security staff wouldn't have put the chest seal on the young person's chest, he would have died. So thank the Lord you had one of them bleed kits there, because you've saved his life. So from me putting the bleed kits at London Bridge, 3 families now haven't had to bury their kids because they've used the bleed kits and they've saved their life. And it worked. So because of that, that then made me very more like really infamous in the knife crime world. 1, because I'm caring and empathetic. 2, because I work with people and I work with other families. I listen to all their stories. I help them with their stories, and I do whatever I can to make sure that no parent has to go and stand next to a grave or a coffin in a church or wherever, because we've worked with the kids and we've educated them enough for them to change their minds on actually carrying them in the first place. Do you know what I mean? So when you're putting out the bleed kits as well, you're also giving another person a fighting chance to survive. So I've killed it in all ways, shapes and forms in the knife crime world. And that then opened up more doors for researchers on Google to contact me for other shows, and Trapped in Trauma with Conan, talking about my own traumatic stuff through stabbings, losing my friends. The same had happened to him with his dad, and he's been stabbed himself. Then I got contacted again with another research company. Can you do Channel 4? Rob Rinder's got this series coming out, Britain Behind Bars. We'd love you to be involved. 3-part series, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course. Did 3-part series on that. Then I was filming with ITV. I did the TikTok murders, as we spoke about earlier, featured within Martin Kos's feature. So I've done loads of TV work. And thankfully, you know, PR company, Starbucks, Shadia. I mean, you know, I was on the phone earlier, wasn't I? I was on the phone for ages, but I love her. She's had my back from day one. I'm really thankful because I get a lot of red carpet events and I get to go to some really nice places that a lot of people would love to go to. And I'm grateful for that. But, you know, there's sometimes in life that things don't go too well, you know, and yeah, you have personal issues, you know.
Yeah, you went from doing a lot on the social media and then you went a bit quiet. What happened there?
So basically, I was filming with ITV. I was up in Warrington, up in Liverpool, and I was with, I don't know if you've ever heard of Brianna Jai. She was the young trans girl that she got stabbed by 2 kids from school. About 27 times, I think she got stabbed.
Did she have long pink hair, I think?
Kind of. She wore glasses. And
Yeah.
the videos that people see was like she had like really long white knee socks.
Yeah, I think I have heard
And she
about
left
that.
the ring door footage, caught her leaving her house and walking off, and she was texting at the time and whatever.
Yeah.
I met her dad, Peter. Love him. He's that guy, I swear. And I was with ITV for a couple of days up there. I was doing back-to-back talks. I'd spoke with 600 kids. We were supposed to be filming for that. Usually I charge for that stuff, especially, you know, travel up and down. You know, traveling thousands of miles every single day. You're never at home. And I weren't. And I were drained. I was very stressed. I was emotional. Like, I was just drained. And I went up to film with them. And I took the story of Brianna. It got to me. And I kind of put myself in her position. And I knew, before I knew the story, I was having dreams of her being face down in dirt. And it actually turned out that's how she was actually found. And I never knew that that's how she was found. I was dreaming that. That was dreams before that come out. So I had a major breakdown. Major. I went back to drugs. I was taking Valium to sleep. And then I ended up like relapsing for a couple of months. And then from then, my relationship ended. I lost everything. I didn't lose my job. I ended my job because I can't work with kids if I'm not mentally well myself. I can't. It's irresponsible. So I ended my job. I lost my house, my cars, my partner, practically the kids at that time. I ended up homeless, and also friendless. So everybody that was around me when I was on the rise weren't around me when I was on the fall. Like people that I thought was friends, yeah, all right, I mixed business with pleasure. So yeah, I had people around me in my business, but they was also my friends out of my business. But they weren't. They dropped me. Not one person spoke to me. Still, now to this day, even some people haven't even messaged me still. And I've done a lot of things with these people. They've met my kids, they've been in my house, they've had dinners around me. Like, they're not one, not even a message. Not even a message of like, Carl, what are you doing, bro? You're fucking practically famous. We'll give your head a wobble, bro. You're losing everything. For what? I didn't even get any of that from people. Do you know what I mean? And that disappointed me more than anything. Yeah, obviously I lost everything. And I literally did lose everything. I lost a lot. So for a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, I lost my social media, which obviously if any of you go and follow my socials, you'll see that it's not very high with followings and stuff because I've had to start all over again. I lost everything. But I wasn't actually going to come back on social media. I weren't going to come back on. I wasn't even going to continue with the work. I lost the plot. I was mentally unstable. I was put on medication. It was crazy. And I decided, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to go back on social media because there's kids out there that actually do depend on me. And when I did come back on social media, a lot of the kids that I was working with that are now actually older than what they were, they was like, oh my God, like, we're so glad you're back. You did so much to help us. Parents messaging me, oh my God, we hope you're okay. So sorry we didn't message you, but and I'm like, well, it wasn't your place to message me. Do you know what I mean? You was just parents. I've worked with your children. I don't expect you to ever message me. Do you know what I mean? So they're like, you've done so much for our kids. We can never thank you enough. If it weren't for you, our kids wouldn't even be here right now, blah, blah, blah. So hearing stuff like that, I was just like, yeah, that's right. Like, I've dropped and given up everything that I was born to do. So I come back onto social media. Then you contacted me, like, would you get this podcast in? And now it's hard work trying to get me in, but... So I just jumped back out onto the social media platform. But like this time now, what I've decided to do is take my time with it. Instead of making social media run my life, I'm going to run social media. Do you know what I mean? So because of the stress that I went through initially, and I let things get to me and boil up, I never used to share about my own problems, and I used to let it male pride. I thought, nah, I'm not going to do it because like I tried to take my own life in April. Jumped from a tree a lot. I won't go into too much detail, but I was saved, and I had police officers coming in, and someone had reported a guy acting weird, and do you know what I mean? I wanted to end my life, and I did. I attempted to, and if it weren't for a police officer, I'd be dead right now. So I just, everything I was touching just turns to dust. I'd had enough. I don't want to do it no more. And that night, when I was saved, I was in hospital for about 9 hours. I got home. I had a dream. My kids was crying at my graveside. I was watching like Scrooge and Christmas Carol. I was just watching from the outside. My kids was just on the floor. So, yeah. So, and that was that. That was a click. Yeah. I don't know. So that clicked me, and I just thought, yeah, I've got to change. So that's what I did. So then from there, and I just slowly went in. I took my time with it, and then I just thought, no, I'm not gonna make my life about social media. I'm gonna make my life about family, and be consistent with the kids. So I'm not going to let social media get in the way of my children. So if I've got my kids, I'm not on social media. Don't ever try and book me in for work. I'm not doing it. If my kids are with me at the weekend, don't ask me to do anything because I'm not coming. Like I wanted to stay consistent for them. Yeah.
Well, I think your kids should be really proud of you. And the way you turned your life around is incredible.
Yeah.
And what you've done with the kids as well, helping all these other people out and all these families out, I think you should be really proud of yourself.
I know. Do you know, a lot of people say that to me. I should be proud of myself. And it's like, I don't see it like that at all. I don't see that. Because where I fell off and I've come back, I shouldn't have fucking fell off in the first place. So coming back and like, you know, I've come back stronger than I were before I left. I'm thankful. I'm still getting to go to events. I've still got my PR. I still get to go to award shows, and I'm really lucky that I still get to do this stuff. I've still got offers for TV shows, and I'm really lucky that I get to do that. And that is because a lot of people have had faith in me, and they've seen everything that I have done in the past, and that work speaks for itself. So the coming back and doing what I've done, I don't see myself as being proud for doing it, because I was doing it already and I was the one that fucked up. So I don't sit back and I'm like, yeah, I am proud for what I've done. No, I'm not. I'm not proud for that, because I shouldn't have fucking fell off in the first place.
Can I speak freely
Go
for a
on.
second? I think you need to stop being so hard on yourself. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. That's just how life is. You're going to make mistakes. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, I suppose.
There's 3 families out there that can say that they still have their kid, and that's because of you. Mm-hmm. Just think about that. If you don't have motivation already, that should give you motivation, that itself.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And it is, I think it's just, you know, everyone does that self-negative talk, don't they? Everyone's got self-negative talk, and I have that. And the reason why I have self-negative talk is because I want to be better every time. Better. Nah, I can do that better.
Self-discipline.
Yeah, and I can do things better. I'm mad. I am. People say to me, "It's like, well, how the fuck do you do this stuff?" And I'm like, "Cause that's just me. It's just how I do it." I don't know if my OCD helps me towards that. It probably does in some sense. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I'm mad with OCD, but I like to do things proper. But as you say about the human, yeah, I am human, but I have a lot of time and care for other people, and I don't do this stuff for myself. I admit it, like, people might say, "Oh, yeah, you clout chase." No, fuck off. No, I don't. I don't clout chase at all. If I did, I'd be name and shaming all of you motherfuckers, and I'd be fucking clickbaiting all the time, constantly with certain names, with the scumbags that I don't chat to no more. I don't do that. I don't need to, because yeah, I get these TV shows. I did a Mums on Strike reality show with my family, yeah, through my agent. That was a bit of fun. It was something different to me, like being around a family who's had their kids murdered. I was just having fun. Do you know what I mean? It's not clout chasing. I got offered the show. Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. And these other TV shows that I've been offered, they researched me. I didn't look for them. I didn't go onto Google and say, "Oh, please let me on your show." These people come to me. These people book me in. Yeah, we'll pay you to do this. Yeah, do you want to do this news show? I don't contact anybody ever. They contact me. Everyone contacts me to do their stuff.
I wouldn't listen to the hate. Everyone's got something to hate about.
I don't listen to it, but it's like, just to put it out there, like, whatever people think when they watch these podcasts and they listen to people's stories, I'm telling you now, I am genuine. What you see is what you get. What you hear is true. And the work that I do not for me. I do it for other people. And even my whole family will tell you, I've even put thousands of pounds of my own money into doing this stuff. Into doing my own money. I've had rows with my ex-missus about the amount of money I used to spend on other people that weren't even my family, because my heart is in it for them people, for them to do better. Like these kids, they ain't got money to have like my dog. Do you know what? I had one kid once, just before we end. I had this one kid, picked him up. Parents did have a fucking pot to piss in. He was starving. I phoned up my missus. "Do me a favour. What? Can you make me a packed lunch?" "What for?" "I thought you got a packed lunch." "It's not for me. It's for this kid. He ain't have no food all day. His mum and dad's not got no money. He's not eaten since yesterday." "What?" "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Boom, got up there. She's done a whole bag of food, and I've give it to this kid. Here. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I'm not in it for nothing other than like helping people. So if people aren't doing very well for themselves, and then they have someone like me that gets in the car and then they chat with me, I'm not trying to chat and there's an ulterior motive of why I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you generally because I care. Like, I'm not going to then swerve and go, "Oh, dude, did you hear what he just said? Quick, let's get him arrested." No, fuck that. What you tell me is what. As long as you're not telling me you're going to kill somebody, I'm not going to tell anyone. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to harm someone, I'm going to tell. Other than that, nah, I'm in it for the real reasons. And if any, if families have had any joy out of that and they've had their children's back, then I've done a good job, and that's what it means to me. So, just if anybody ever needs any motivation, any advice, or I say advice, it's just suggestions on anything, hit me up. I reply to all my DMs, admittedly not straight away because I get loads, but on my TikTok, my Instagram, and Facebook. Anyone ever wants advice about your kids, yourself, your mental wealth, how to go about, what agencies to look for, I know it all. Message me, contact me, and I will give you the best advice that I can.
Do you have a link tree?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
I'll just put all that in the description
So it'll be like
box.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on, Carl.
Thank you for having me. It's been a good me talking all the time. No, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, guys, really quickly, I want to give a big shout out to Aura Elite. No, just do that again. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe. I just want to give a big thank you to Aura Elite Media for giving me the podcast space today. And a big shout out to their podcast. It's called The Untold Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe and follow them. And a big thank you to Carl again for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Sweet.